The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this broadcast or podcast without the express written consent of Spaced Out Radio or Spaced Out Radio Limited is strictly prohibited. Listener discretion is advised. Are you experienced?
Stop right there!
From high atop the mountains of British Columbia to you, listening around the world, this is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
They let us play with all our toys, they let us think that we're big boys, they let us make the louder noise, but women rule the world. They let us think we're Superman.
You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, on iTunes and TuneIn. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, on Facebook at Spaced Out Radio Show, or on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show.
I try to act so cool, but you know I'm just a fool for you. I will stop till I reach the top just to be there with you.
Dave, oh Dave, are you playing with Bigfoot and aliens again?
Dad, you gotta stop haunting the ghost. It's scaring them.
All right, seriously, put down the pointy sticks.
Okay! Game on! Game on! Game on!
The password is...
All right.
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride on Spaced Out Radio. Mr. Bumblefoot, Dave is ready for liftoff.
I try to act so cool, but you know I'm just a fool for you.
Seriously, Dave? Really? Aren't you a little old for a tinfoil hat?
Hello, Toby. Bye-bye. Nephew. Bye-bye.
Yeah, just please take your seat about all. We'll go for you. It's time to pick up. Start. 2, 1. Boost ignition and lift off.
I'm such a lucky guy, 'cause after all this time, it's like the deeper I go, the deeper I fall. The deeper I go, the deeper I
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. It's good to have you along for the ride on this Thursday, April 27th. Friday, April 28th. If you're on the East Coast, I hope you had a great day, evening, and night. We are live right here in Uncle Jimbo's cabin, right here in the Great White North, 7 days a week. Let's welcome in everyone listening in on our terrestrial radio stations. WQEE 99 Rock the Key down in Noonan, Georgia. We are also live on the United Public Radio Network on 107.7 FM in New Orleans and over 160 countries around the world. We're live at spacedoutradio.com, on Spreaker, KTLK, The Fringe FM, live in Las Vegas on Renegade Talk Radio, the High Plains Talk Radio Network, and if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. All of our music is provided by Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, the guitar god formerly of Guns N' Roses, currently of Art of Anarchy. Bumblefoot is the official sound of SOR. If you're on social media, give us a follow on Twitter, at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can go to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. Tune us in on TuneIn. Download our shows from iTunes. We're also on RadioGuide.fm, TalkStream Live, Player FM, and Stitcher. Our website is SpacedOutRadio.com, and if you head over to Patreon.com, for as low as $1 a month, you can become a patron of Spaced Out Radios. If you want to take part in this show, sign into one of the chat rooms, as we do not take callers. Click on Listen Live by going to our website. You can also be on Revolution Radio's chat room, on Spreaker, on the UPRN chat room, or if you're a valued member of Facebook and the SOR Space Travelers Club, we want to get to your questions in there as well. Or if you're on Twitter, use the hashtag SpaceOutRadio. I will get to your questions in there as well. Now, if you head on over to our website for just $5 a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. While you're there, check out the Encounter Online, our brand new news section put together by editors Eric Markham and Everett Thiemer. You can also check out my latest blog there as well. And if you had a sighting or an experience you cannot explain, fill out an SOR Sightlines report. Our researcher, Mike Schmidt, is ready to find out what is going on. There's conspiracies. Then there's conspiracies. But the one thing about the tinfoil hat wearing crowd, yours truly included, is we just like to ask questions. And whether or not the mainstream wants to believe everything as word for word truth, we have learned over time that sometimes, just sometimes, something is said that is just overly propagandist. Whether it's 9/11, aliens, moon landings, or even case in point for tonight, the flat earth theory. We know that there are sometimes 2 + 2 just does not equal 4. There are literally thousands of questions we want answered on this planet. Most are, but for some, the answers still aren't satisfying, or the argument just doesn't justify the conspiracy. Look, I have no problem going on record that personally, I don't think the earth is flat. That's me. I, like most out there, do believe the earth is round, that we have satellites up in space, the moon is not a hologram, and yes, people have walked on the moon, that big piece of cheese that comes through every night. I also believe there's a secret space program, see, the tinfoil hat, that has been further into the universe than we could ever expect. So what I'm saying is, kick back and chill about this topic. We may learn something we didn't know. What does amaze me about this topic is how angry people get over it. I've already had a few listeners contact me on social media asking why I would approach such an ignorant subject. I even had people unfollow me on Twitter as early as half an hour ago because I'm taking on this topic. I'm sorry, that's lame. Real lame that you would do that. But is it ignorance? And why are we not allowed to question this if we can question everything about Bigfoot, about aliens, UFOs, government cover-ups, 9/11, JFK, whatever the conspiracy may be? Daniel Falkenbach makes his first appearance on the show. He has taken the criticism. He has done the research leading up to tonight. He's ready to explain why he feels the Earth is flat as a pancake. We're also going to be joined by our resident scientist and editor of the Encounter Online, Eric Markham. Daniel, welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. How are you?
Oh, thanks for having me, man. What a awesome welcome there. Eric Martin, hello to you too. Hello to all the people listening. since it's my first time on radio, it's very exciting for me. I feel grateful and honored to be on Spaced Out Radio with you, Dave. That was a perfect introduction there with Bigfoot and UFOs and secret space stations, and isn't that interesting? Within the past half hour, you already have getting hate mail and having people unfollow you and dealing with criticism. It's like, I'm just trying to question what's going on here, trying to learn different paradigms, different people's different realities tunnels, and already the hate is coming in. So we can talk about little green men and ghost haunting dolls, but we can't scientifically explore alternate realities and possibilities. I find that extremely interesting as well.
And we're going to get into that because we're going the full show tonight on Spaced Out Radio in regards to this topic. And you know what? I'm not going to defend the topic because I can honestly say, as I said, I don't know. Number one, I've never been to space. I'm believing and choosing to believe that the mathematics, the science, the physics, the chemistry that goes along with flat Earth, you know, it doesn't make sense to me. But we can get into that. All I know is the reason why I wanted to do this topic, and I've wanted to do it for a while, is I have literally had, personally, so many different experiences in my life that now I'm just throwing my hands in the air and saying, what the hell? There's a possibility. Because in reality, there's only a select few who have ever been to space who could really tell us. Yes, there's satellite imagery, but we know that NASA covers up some photos. So we're going to get into that later on. But first, let's learn a little bit about you. When did you start, Daniel, taking up the idea that the Earth was flat?
Well, I didn't just wake up one morning and go, oh, it's flat. How didn't I see that before? No, it's just like all you guys. All the listeners. I loved conspiracies in general. Bigfoot, little green men, Greys, Norducks, the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, all the different aliens and occupying all the different constellations and star systems and the secret space program on the back of the moon and on Mars. These are all different rabbit holes that a conspiracy theorist goes into. And then eventually you get to the hard sciences, which is like modern physics. And then you have to go, oh man, I have to actually study these things that I didn't pay attention in school at. And so then you have to study the old model of physics, and then the classical model, and then you have to compare it to the modern standard model, and then you get a little into quantum mechanics and quantum physics. That gets a little weird with the particle wave duality stuff there. But I'd say that everyone goes through like stages of disbelief. You have to climb up the staircase of all these things that you didn't believe in before, all these things that you were questioning before, 9/11, Titanic, JFK, like you said, the Federal Reserve, assassinations, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, false flag operations that our government's performing on its own citizens, psychological warfare. Like when it doesn't begin with flat Earth. You have to break down the layers of conditioning that have been programmed into us since birth. Ever since we've been born, the first day at school, there's a globe there. And there's a globe on the desk, and it's beaten into us before we can even speak a single word. Before we can even speak words, we already have it programmed into us that it's a ball, a spinning ball. They got little planets spinning around in our cradles when we're kids. We don't even know it. It's just, this is deep, deep programming that goes further back than 500 years. This did not begin with Copernicus and Columbus, people thinking that the world was flat when Columbus sailed. This goes back 500 years further than 500 years ago. This is a grand deception.
I get that, my friend, and I can appreciate that there is a lot of things that we are intertwined with from literally the time we are born until the time we get to school and so on and so forth through adulthood. But I'm curious to know, Daniel, what made you start to lead this way? What was the one piece of evidence that you saw that made you scratch your head and say, you know what, there could be something to this flat earth theory?
It's just using my own senses and trusting my own senses and my own observation. What I see in front of me is what I should believe. I shouldn't just believe what people tell me, just because NASA's telling me what to believe, or people in white coats, like scientists or whatever, are telling me what to believe with their fishy equations that only work on paper but don't work with my eyes and with my senses. I just started to trust my own senses. And the specific thing was I started writing a book in 2007-ish, right before the 2008 elections. With Obama and all that nonsense. And that was the first time I ever voted. But you enlighten yourself once you realize that the whole system's a sham, a farce. Your vote doesn't matter. But I started questioning the system, the model of the cosmos in my book in 2007. I was talking about, well, we seem to be on a sphere rock, third planet from the sun, orbiting around the sun, and I was just making a big joke about it. It's just like, okay, we used to be dinosaurs apparently millions of years ago. We were dinosaurs, and dinosaurs were fighting one another and killing one another. But now, so I started questioning the heliocentric model in 2007 and trying to figure it out. It's like, what is going on? What is going on? They're telling me that I'm the sun, the Earth, and the moon. The moon is orbiting the Earth, and the Earth is orbiting around the sun, and then the sun is like the Earth is going 1,000 miles per hour, or traveling at the equator, and then you have the Earth itself traveling around the sun at 67,000 miles per hour, and then you have the sun in the solar system traveling around the galaxy at 500,000 miles per hour. And then you have the galaxy itself hurling through the universe at over 1 million miles per hour. And once you start questioning your reality and what you've been taught ever since you've been a kid, this stuff starts to not make any sense, and you start realizing all the anomalies and contradictions in the heliocentric model that's been presented by us by mainstream academia.
I can understand that, and I believe what you were saying, but there is scientific evidence out there that could prove or disprove. And I'll tell you, when I look at this, I'm still trying to figure out how flat earth conspiracy theorists believe that there is literally thousands upon hundreds of thousands of scientists that are pulling the wool over everyone's eyes for the last few hundred years.
Yeah, that's not what I believe. I'm sure there are a lot of flat earthers that do believe that, but I don't believe that. It's just that all of these people that work in the different government agencies and space agencies, like Bill Nye, Neil deGrasse Tyson, NASA, SpaceX, which is the private company of NASA, which is their scapegoat fall boy, because nobody believed in NASA, and that's why they had to shut down the space program about a decade ago. They're figuring out that we can't go to the moon anymore, but we're going to go to Mars, and let's make SpaceX be the fall guy. And like you said, there is evidence that proves that the Earth is round. You say round, but round isn't a shape. You have to be specific. If you're a ball earther, if you believe that the Earth is a spinning ball hurling through infinite space, or a pear ball, or a potato, or whatever, oblate spheroid, which is the theoretical physicist official answer. They say that the Earth is an oblate spheroid. And you have to be specific, though. You can't say it's round because a pancake is round. It's also flat. So you have to be like I make people say you have to say that it's a ball or a sphere. You have to say, because round is just a quality of a shape. You have to be very specific when talking about geometry. And let's see here.
I can understand where you're going with everything, and I want you to gather your thoughts, because I know you're nervous. This is your first time on live radio, and there is, at times it can feel a little intimidating, especially when you're very passionate about the topic. Let's start from the beginning, though, because I asked you that one piece of advice or that one piece of evidence that you felt you had that finally convinced you that the Earth was flat, and
water is always level.
Okay, how does the water not fall off?
Well, it obviously has to be contained in something. It's water always takes the shape if it's unmanipulated. The natural physics of water. This is the number one proof, by the way. I mean, you're asking me what the number one proof is. Well, the number one proof is the natural physics of water. The water, unmanipulated, always finds its level. It always seeks to find its level, and then it flattens out. It's called sea level. It's not called sea curve. And lakes are always level. Ponds, oceans. These things are always level, and there's never any observable, measurable curvature. The Pythagorean theorem curvature equation for the ball Earth is 8 inches per mile squared. So that there would be the curve gradually grows after the first mile because it's exponentially growing because the Earth is supposedly 25,000 miles in circumference, and so after the first mile of the drop, it should be. So when you take for instance, I grew up next to Lake Erie. I grew up in Buffalo, New York, so I was privileged and able to see the Canadian buildings from 30 to 50 miles away with my own eyes. Now, modern science will tell us that our human eyes can only see 2.9 miles, about 3 miles total in distance, because obviously we don't have Superman eyes. We can't. It's not science fiction world. We can't see. We don't have binoculars and telescope eyes, so we can't see forever. There's a limit to our the distance of how far we can see. So that's the vanishing point, and that's the horizon. That's why the horizon's there, because we can't see past it. But when I grew up next to Lake Erie, I would look over the Canadian to the Canadian side, and I would see the Canadian buildings, and those are 30 miles away. And based off the globe Earth equation, spiritual trigonometry, those buildings should be 600 feet below the horizon. And then at 50 miles, those buildings should be 1,000, or 40 miles, those buildings would be 1,066 feet below the horizon. And then at 50 miles, those buildings would be 1,666 feet below the horizon. And I'm standing at the beach. So how can I still see these buildings with my own eyes when modern science is telling me that I can only see 3 miles, but I'm seeing 50 miles across the lake, and I'm seeing buildings with my own eyes that should be 1,000 feet below the horizon, which is impossible to see on a globe, but only possible on a flat plane.
Okay, Daniel, I got to ask a question. This is Eric. Now, was this a thing that you could do every day? Because the same evidence has been put out. Because what I'm getting at what you were probably seeing is a mirage. If you couldn't go there every clear day and see that, well, I'll come up front.
No,
I spent several years of my early life in the Navy and standing watches with binoculars, and from any given point on the sea, your horizon line is right at 15 miles. You can actually see at 15 miles, you can see a ship disappearing over the horizon. Now, it doesn't have anything to do with vanishing points because, like I said, I'm using binoculars. So it's not like it got so far away I couldn't see it. You literally can see a ship disappear from the hull up, where only the superstructure is visible above the horizon. And the Pythagorean theorem does not, it's based off a theoretical plane going straight out from the observer's point of view in a straight line. It's a whole different calculation altogether to say, like you're looking at an 1,800-foot tower. It's a different calculation altogether to figure out how much of that is below the horizon line you're seeing. So I'm saying you could see these buildings, but it was a mirage, and if you could take a scale model of the largest building you were seeing and put it up to what you would notice that some part of your model would be below the surface of the water.
Let's see here. Do you know what a Nikon P900 is?
Camera or telescope?
Camera. It's the newest optical zoom camera on the market. It's actually the most the furthest zoom on the planet, on the plane right now. Just take the T off of the planet and it says plane. And you can see 83 times optical magnification zoom lens. And so I can see the craters on the moon, supposed craters on the moon. But if you just, you said, so you think, you just admit that the boats go over the horizon, you can see it with your own eyes. How far up do you have to go until the curvature of the Earth is visible? And you said that the equation wasn't the same. You said that well, first off, you said it's a mirage. So newscasters will say that when you looked over Lake Michigan Lake Michigan to the Chicago skyline, the newscaster said it was a mirage from 50 or 60 miles away. He said the same thing. It's a mirage. It's a superior mirage. And both my parents were in the Navy and grew. They both were in the Navy as well. When my dad asked me if I ever, when I asked my dad if he's ever seen any curvature being in the Mediterranean Sea and in the oceans, I'll never forget his face, his eyes widening up at me with a look of horror, and then realizing he's never seen a curvature of the Earth with his own eyes. But so, what is the official curvature equation then? Since you said that I misrepresented it, I really would like to know, because I've been asking ball earthers for a long time since 8 inches per mile squared isn't the Pythagorean geometry, the curvature calculation. I really would like to know it, because I can't figure out the curvature of the Earth without this supposed equation that doesn't exist and changes when you question it. And so how high do you have to go until you see the curvature? Because when I flew over to San Diego here recently on an airplane from Buffalo, New York, I took a picture from the one window, and then I looked out the other window, and it's flat. It was flat with my eyes, and it's flat with the picture, and I still don't see it. And when you have amateur rocket footage or amateur weather balloon footage from just amateurs like myself, who send off balloon footage and rocket footage up past 100,000 feet, it's still, even up to 120,000 feet, which is over 20 miles, it's still completely observably flat, 20 miles up. So how far do you have to get till you see the curvature? Here's the thing. I've been, I didn't pick this flat earth thing to be controversial, anti-science. I love science. I love the truth. It's definitely very interesting when all of my friends and family disappear on me, and they go, "Dan, what if you're wrong about this flat earth thing? What if you're wrong?" And I go, and I have to say to these people that I loved. Well, that's the thing. I studied and researched for the past 10 years, and I admitted that I was wrong. I was a ball earther my entire life. I thought I evolved from a monkey, and I thought I lived on a spinning pear ball my whole life until recently, until I started questioning about a decade ago. And now I have to tell my friends and family, who barely even talk to me anymore, guys, I questioned it for years and years and years. I'm trying to prove the ball Earth. I'm trying to prove the globe Earth correctly. But I don't want to be ridiculed every single day. I don't want to. It's not fun. It's not something I would. But that's what happens. But so I tell them I already searched. I've already been searching for years and years. So I already admitted I'm wrong. I admitted that I looked into relativity, the theory of relativity, the theory of speed of light, the theory of evolution, the theory of the spherical ball. The theory of dinosaurs. These are all theories. These are all assumptions. They don't have any evidence. Well, here's the thing: it's what the thinker thinks, the prover proves. So if you try to prove that the Earth is a ball, you're going to find evidence that the Earth is a ball. If you try to find proof that the Earth is flat, you're going to find proof that the Earth is flat. So you like the guy was on yesterday, you have to just use your discernment, use your judgment and discernment, and like science is science fiction. Science claims to be science. It's pseudoscience. The horizon always rises to your eye level. If I'm on a beach, it's sea level. If I'm on a plane, it's an airplane. You're in the air over a plane. The definition of a plane is level and flat. Horizon is a plane, level and flat. All gyroscopes meaning submarine technology, aviation technology, navigating airplanes, all of their navigational mechanics works on gyroscopic technology, which can only work on a flat plane. NASA admits that even NASA admits that all of its technology let's see here. It says I have it right here. It's a definition of a linear aircraft model for a rigid aircraft of it's a rigid aircraft of constant mass flying over a flat, non-rotating Earth. This is NASA.gov I'm on. This is their navigational mechanics. This is 1990. This is 1988. And NASA admits that all of its Earth pictures from space are CGI composites, not real pictures. If you go to Google, this is another thing, Dave, that totally set me off. I went to Google and I typed in pictures of Earth or real pictures of Earth, and all the pictures all of them, literally all the pictures are CGI composite fakes. Type in real pictures of satellites. All the pages fake CGI composite renderings. NASA artists themselves will say that it's fake, that this is a rendering. It's a mosaic, an artist's mosaic. It's a composite of many different shots put together into one, and then they Photoshop it. They admit to this stuff. So satellites, Earth from space, all the planets. Type in pictures of planets from Pluto, Uranus. Just type in, and they're all CGI cartoons Like I've been playing video games my entire life, Final Fantasy, before CGI was even around. And then they changed it. It used to be all Disney animations, and they changed their Disney animations in their mythologies, and they changed it over to CGI animations because it was becoming not believable. And then I go to NASA.gov. Why am I on Google.com? I'm going to go to NASA.gov and I'll type in real picture of Earth, real picture of satellite, real picture of planets, and they're even worse than the Google images. I'm like, this is supposedly NASA.gov, the black hole, the only black hole in existence that gets $20 or $50 million a day of American taxpayer dollars and $20 billion annual budget. It's a black hole, and that's the only black hole in existence is NASA. And I want my money back, and I want you to have your money back too, Dave and Eric.
Look, I can honestly say I agree with you on one point. I agree that NASA is fudging pictures. Okay? All we have to do is look at the International Space Station when a UFO flies by and they cut the feed, or there is enough proof out there from enough people coming out saying that they have photographed UFOs in the sky and they have erased the pictures, whether it's on Mars, whether it's on the moon. So my question is, if everything is holographic, if everything does not exist the way we've seen, explain extraterrestrials to me. Because let me finish here for a second, because I was trying for one of them dramatic pauses and you caught me caught there. Okay. The reason why I'm going to tell you that is I've seen 5 extraterrestrials with my own eyes. I've seen a UFO land 150 yards in front of me. I know it's not human. I've been as close as 8 feet away from an extraterrestrial. I've seen a 10 to 12 foot tall extraterrestrial in the middle of the daylight, that is. So, if everything above us is holographic and nothing up there truly exists, explain to me then what I saw.
Oh, I don't think that the sun and the moon and the stars are holographic. I didn't get to finish that thought before, but no, I don't. I'm not a subscriber to the holographic moon or simulation theory. The moon. First off, I don't think that anyone can land on the moon because I don't think that space travel is possible to get through the Van Allen radiation belts back and forth in a tin can. But and I also don't think that the moon is a terrestrial terra firma object that you can land on. I think it's a self-translucent, self-illuminating disk, and it's obviously real that you can see through it. The sun and the moon the sun is not 93 million miles away, like the heliocentric model tells us, and the moon is not 238,000 miles away, like they tell us. They're both local luminaries in our atmosphere, and I've seen the clouds. I've seen clouds form behind the sun and in front of the sun and with the moon at the same time. That's only possible if these luminaries were local. So yeah, I just wanted to address that holographic theory there. I don't believe in that. And to address your extraterrestrial question, I've been seeing UFOs since like my first memories. Since I've been a little boy, I've seen the classic flying V symbol. I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about with the point, and then the 2, and then the. Yep, I've seen that was the very first UFO I've seen formations of those form in the sky at night with 2 witnesses, my friends. And this is a long time ago. I like I said before, I've studied. I'd love to hear what specific types of extraterrestrials or EBEs, extraterrestrial biological entities that you've specifically seen, whether they're reptilians or draconians or blonde or gray or praying mantis. I love the speculating. Speculating's fun. Speculating's really fun. I love it. Let's see here. So I've seen UFOs. My explanation for extraterrestrials is they definitely exist, but not like most people think that they do. I don't think that extraterrestrials are in outer space colonizing other planets or on the back of the moon or on Mars or flying brilliant metal spaceships the size of Jupiter around and spying on us and giving us technology in exchange for fecal matter. I don't subscribe to that. I mean, I used to. I used to. But here's the thing with the flat Earth: you have to throw everything in the garbage. You have to throw in everything. When I mean everything, I only mean everything. And so, but these extraterrestrials are, in my opinion, are real. I call them hyperdimensional entities. And I met a few myself. Usually it comes when I'm on. I haven't taken psychedelics or hallucinogens in nearly 4 years, so I'm very clean and very sober-minded. But it usually only occurs with a heavy dose of psilocybin mushrooms or three puffs of dimethyltryptamine, otherwise known as DMT. And then you will meet gnomes and little entities or fractal elves from hyperspace, and I've met these. I can literally talk about my extraterrestrial stories, and I'd love to hear yours too. Like I already said, for hours. It takes talking about. I think talking about psychedelic experiences and extraterrestrial experiences, even if they're speculation or subjective, I think it's some of the most important topics to talk about on the plane. And let's see. I mean, I can go further into that.
I can understand that. I understand that. I've seen 4 Greys and I've seen 1 Andromedan. Okay, the tall guy was the Andromedan.
Okay.
That's what I've seen. And I can tell you this.
Were you sober?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'm not on psychedelics. I'm not on marijuana. I'm not on cocaine. I'm not on alcohol. I come from a family of alcoholics. I refuse to go down that path. Do I enjoy a beer every now and again? Absolutely. But there's a limit when you've seen what I've seen. So the whole point that I am saying is I am an experiencer.
Same with my family too, by the way.
There are a lot of experiencers out there in regards to extraterrestrial contact, extraterrestrial abduction, and I'm baffled if the sun is so close and the planets are holograms, just like you said. I'm quoting you here.
No. I didn't say that the planets are holograms. I said that they're luminaries. I said
luminaries.
I don't subscribe to
luminaries.
Yeah, they're lights. They're just lights. I just call them lights. You know.
My apologies. Okay, my
That's cool.
apologies. Where do you think these aliens are coming to Earth from, and how are they getting here?
That's a beautiful question. It's a perfect segue to the next conversation. The next topic here is that if you look at the azimuthal equidistant or the azimuthal projection map, which is actually the UN logo. You know, the UN logo with the little olive branches and the Masonic 33 chambers in there. That's actually the azimuthal projection map, which is one of the many flat Earth models that we have. And so the UN logo is actually one of the flat Earth maps, the main one. That's kind of, it's also split up into 33 sections. I'm sure you know about the 33 degrees of Freemasonry. And this is actually who created the globe model to begin with, is the Freemasons and the Jesuits 500 years ago. And all of the people, Copernicus, the Jesuit, Kepler, Newton. They're all funded by Jesuits. And to answer your question about where are these aliens, well, they're beyond the wall. So apparently, in the flat Earth model, all compasses point to north. Obviously, you have to hold a compass flat for it to work. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. So you have to hold a compass flat and always points north, to true north. And so, the true north is the center of the. That's like. Did you ever hear of Mount Meru of legends of antiquity? So Mount Meru is at the direct center of the flat Earth map, and that's why it's a magnetic mountain there. So it's the magnetic compass is pointing to the true north. So that's obviously a giant magnetic piece there in the North Pole, and that's protected by the Antarctic Treaty. And same with the South Pole. So the North Pole is there. It's always the compasses always point north, and so in the flat Earth model, there's no South Pole because the South Pole is surrounding us by a 200 to 1,000 foot ice wall. So you said, why doesn't the water fall off? And I just answered that question because it's contained by the ice wall that is surrounding us. That's called Antarctica, otherwise known as the South Pole. So the South Pole, quote unquote, is literally surrounding us, and the government, all of the governments, the international governments, all of them have, what was it, right after World War II, they, of course, they picked Antarctica to do science and exploration for the benefit of humanity, because supposedly I'm sure you've heard of Admiral Byrd and his expeditions to the North and South Poles, and so he was the first one to go scope it out, and that was funded by the government, and supposedly he met. Well, that brings into the hollow Earth stuff, and see, there's so many different topics that the flat Earth touches. Like flat Earth is in Byrd, it's in hollow Earth, it's in aliens and extraterrestrials. But so apparently, the government with this Antarctic Treaty, which is all of the main countries form a pact, and we can't explore there. Independent explorers can't just travel on their own in a boat or on an airplane independently. Otherwise, if you do, you're going to get like Yar Landahoy. He got turned around via warning. The Navy, the Air Force, they tell you to turn around. You're not allowed to explore. It's a Truman Show. You don't explore. There's nothing else to see here. There's no more land. That's why I'm trying to get to your question here. There's no more land out there. There's no other human beings. There's no other aliens or extraterrestrial or other life forms out there. Okay, it's all searched out. It's all mapped out, and so they're obviously hiding more land, infinite resources. It could be infinite resources out there, infinite land. Actually, that's what Admiral Byrd said. He said that there's all different types of fauna and resources that the government has never seen before, and ample supply of it. There also could be multiple moons and multiple suns. I was just reading in the Manly P. Hall's books, The Secret Teaching of All Ages, that in from 1100 to 1600, there was over 20 reports of 3 suns being spotted in the sky at the same time. This is in 1100 from 1600. This has been talked about since the beginning of time. All the ancient cultures of antiquity, let's see here, the Mayans, the Inca, the Norse, the Egyptians, the Hebrew, Hindu, Celtic, Chinese, Navajo, all of these ancient cultures knew that the Earth was flat, and because they weren't brainwashed since birth. All of their models were flat Earth models, except different. They all had different flat Earth models, just like everyone today. But I'd say that is a good answer. That they're hiding.
Now you're mentioning that there is 1,000 to 2,000 foot wall of ice around the planet, and that's what keeps everything inside. Am I correct?
At the edge, supposedly.
Okay.
They say, well, what's at the edge? Well, that's the edge.
Okay. So if that's
supposedly, I don't know. I've never seen it.
And I'm going to buy into this for a moment here. Okay, hold on. Literally, if you hear that, that's my tinfoil hat going on my head right now because I do actually have one in the studio here. Okay. If that's the case, why have we never heard of any reports of anybody running into it?
Well, there's been plenty of people who are sanctioned to go explore on their own, but they always have to be with the government. They always have to be with the white coats. They always have to, and there has been some supposed pictures. I've seen some pictures of the supposed wall and the ice wall, and there's a lot of them. Captain Cook supposedly circumnavigated the ice wall, and you're only allowed government access to 3 entrants to go even explore on your own, and it's going to cost you $6,000 to $10,000 or $15,000. So quite a pretty penny to explore down there with when you're with the government. You can't even go explore on your own. But
which government do we pay?
Which government?
Which government do we pay?
It's all of them. It's all of them. They all work together. It's like WWE. The Rock and Stone Cold versus one another, and they're pretending that Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump versus one another, and then they're friends. They get the same paycheck. They get paid by the same people. They get funded by the same people. This is all a globalist scheme. This is global propaganda. If there's a woman who wanted to go to the Antarctica and prove that it's a ball and be the first woman to go to one side of Antarctica and go to the other, and she left on a snowmobile, and she was not found anymore. She was not found, and years went by, and then the government found a abandoned snowmobile in Antarctica, and it had a note, and she said, it's like it's all mind control to get us to believe stuff that's out there. These are Jesus is going to save you. Aliens are going to come down and save you. The government is going to save you. It's just all about control, divide and conquer. This is all a very, very twisted and backwards world we're living in. We're living in death science. We live in explosions. It's all about destruction and chaos and fear, and that's all they pump us. That's all they pump us with. And the whole point of the globe model is to make it seem like you're nothing, like you're just an insignificant nothing that evolved from a puddle of goo that turned into it's just all random chance. God doesn't exist. You're not important. You're just a third rock in a random solar system. Nothing special. This is actually not an important solar. It's a really a normal solar system, and this is just all a scheme. Well, and then I'll go on the other side, and then you have ball earthers who go, well, Dan, it makes me feel really big to know that I'm in such a vast, infinite, expanding universe that came from the Big Bang 14.5 billion years ago. It's like that's a theory. The Big Bang is another theory. If you believe in the Big Bang theory, you'll believe in anything. If you believe that the universe sprung into causality for no reason, from nothingness, from a point that's smaller than an ant's antenna, and everything came out of that point, then you believe anything. You will believe anything if you believe that. and lo and behold, I can say that like we said in the beginning, I can talk about Sasquatch and little green men, and that the sun is made out of hydrogen and helium, and nobody will bat an eye at me. But if I say that the Earth is a geocentric, flat, stationary, motionless plane, everyone freaks out and loses their minds, and can't even have a normal conversation because all of the layers of indoctrination that has been formed into their brain. They can't even hold two thoughts in their head at one time without freaking out, sweating out of their armpits, getting a flushed red face with sweat beating down their faces and staring into their eyes. I've been doing this for a long time.
It's a beautiful picture you're painting, my friend. A beautiful picture. I can tell you that.
I'm glad you're understanding. I'm glad you're getting it.
That's what we do here. See, that's the Canadian in us, you know. It's the Canadian in us. We just accept everything. Daniel, I'm going to get you to hold on for a second. Preacher, I'm going to get you to hold on as well. The reason why is we are coming up to our first break on Spaced Out Radio tonight. Interesting conversations going on as we talk flat Earth. Are you buying it? Are you still on the side of science? Or do you think Daniel Falkenbach, our guest tonight, has some interesting points? We're going to continue this conversation in hour number 2 right after this. You're listening to Space Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be right back.
From coast to coast to coast, Blacklight Uncharted is taking on the paranormal across Canada. From ghostly hauntings to the UFOs flying above in conjunction with MUFON Canada, we're closely investigating what's going on in the northern skies and checking out the apparitions that walk among us. Check out our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com. We want to know your thoughts, we want to hear your experiences, and we want you to share your stories. The answers are out there, and we intend to find them.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
The third Monday of every month, Spaced Out Radio is going to bring you a different look at everything paranormal. Welcome to The Reporters. Jim Mallard, Vanessa Hogel, Denise Garcia, and Christina George join me, Dave Scott, for a look at the weird and strange from the other side of the microphone. We'll break down ghosts, UFOs, cryptids, and the people investigating them. The paranormal media has never been heard like this. Come listen to The Reporters.
It's paranormal news at its finest. Welcome to The Encounter. At spaceoutradio.com, The Encounter online is SOR's trusted news source for everything weird and strange going on around the world. This is news editor Eric Markham. Our team of journalists are scouring the planet for those strange stories that rarely make the mainstream. No fear-mongering or fake news here. Head over to spacedoutradio.com and encounter The Encounter.
Hey, this is Canadian paranormal investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Have you had an experience you can't explain? Had a run-in with ghosts, maybe Bigfoot, or seen lights in the sky? Hi, I'm Mike Schmidt from the SOR Sightlines. I'm here to investigate your sighting. Head to spacedoutradio.com and fill out a report on the Sightlines. All your information is 100% confidential, and I will help you figure out what you've been seeing. File your report and let's find out the answers together.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at thepurpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit. And expect a miracle.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Have you got your Cosmic Passport? If you need one, tune in to Cosmic Passport on Spaced Out Weekend. This is Elizabeth Anglin, ET experiencer, spirit medium, and host of Cosmic Passport. Each weekend I'll be bringing you interviews and support from other paranormal experiencers, and the best in intuitive spiritual guidance from across the globe. It's all happening starting at 9 p.m. Pacific Time, midnight Eastern, on spacedoutradio.com.
From British Columbia to Northern California, Pacific North Weird has Cascadia covered. Check out our feature videos at spacedoutradio.com, where I, Vincent Zunza, and my super sleuth partner Alexandra Sullivan track down the weird and strange stories from around the Pacific Northwest, from Bigfoot to Mel's Hole and everything in between. This is what makes life exciting. So why report the normal when we can report the Pacific North Weird right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Oh, there's only one way to rock. Loud and proud. In high definition. Radio 702 rocks. Las Vegas.
Every Saturday and Sunday night, as Dave Scott wanders aimlessly in the wilderness, you can come hang out with me, James Tyson, in Spaced Out Weekend. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, I'll take you along as we talk with some of the best experts in their fields. SpacedOutRadio.com is the place to find us. So sit down, relax, put your feet up. Enjoy the topics like the paranormal, supernatural, intuitiveness, and so much more. Hope to see you there.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Good to have you back. Tomorrow night on the program, we get into the SOR Roundtable. We round out April with our Paranormal Roundtable. We'll have the panel on in. We'll ask your questions, our questions, and we're just going to hammer it all night long. It's going to be a good time. Wear them baggy pants for hammer time, because I know you are on Twitter right now, much like Big Eric D and Mr. Skeptic himself. I know you're enjoying that. 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern time at spacedoutradio.com. Hey, if you want to follow us on terrestrial radio, all you have to do is go to WQEE 99 Rock the Key down in Noonan, Georgia. We are also live on the United Public Radio Network on 107.7 FM in New Orleans and over 160 countries around the world. Good to have you with us. We are also live in Las Vegas on Renegade Talk Radio, on KTLK, The Fringe FM. And if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Peregmenon. Peregmenon is your password. Maybe that's a silent G. Paramenion? Maybe that's it. I don't know. He's stumping me tonight. Bill sets a password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. If you want to follow us on social media, you can do so on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can tune us in on TuneIn, download this show and others on iTunes. We're also on RadioGuide.fm, TalkStream Live, Player FM, and Stitcher. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including joining the SOR Space Travelers Club for $5 a month. And be sure to read up on The Encounter Online, our brand new paranormal news section. We got all sorts of stories on there for your reading purposes. Tonight we are talking Flat Earth. Daniel Falkenbach is with us tonight. He is a Flat Earth researcher. We're also joined by our resident scientist and from The Encounter Online, Eric Markham. Gentlemen, welcome back.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for having me again.
Hey, before we get into anything more, I want to get to some questions here from our audience. And let's get to Everett here right off the bat. Everett is asking in the SOR Space Travelers Club, if the Earth is flat, why don't we just dig a big hole through it and dump the world's trash into it to let it fall out the bottom? Environmental problems would be solved.
That's a very good question. Actually, that's another conspiracy in the Flat Earth Awakening is that some Flat Earthers think that volcanoes are actually chemical waste deposits, that they're not natural phenomenon, that human beings are pretending that they're natural. Actually, that human beings are pretending that a lot of things are natural, like mountains, and because that's a whole different, like, there's Flat Earthers that think that mountains are the remnants of old, giant, petrified trees that have been chopped down by giant machinery or by giants. But let's see here. Could you repeat the question again?
Just in regards to dig a hole.
No, I got it.
Right.
I got it. So the furthest that any human beings, any government agency has ever dug down, like people say, well, why don't you just dig down and go to the bottom of to go to China? The furthest any government agency has dig down is 8 miles deep. The Russian government did that before their machinery started to break down. And it was costing too much. It was going to cost too much money, so they abandoned the project. So 8 miles is the furthest any human being has ever gone down. So in the heliocentric model, your cartoon blue marble, they show that it has a caramel goo, that it has layers of goo, magma underneath the plate tectonics, which is also another theory, because how can you know that there's plate tectonics when you've only gone 8 miles deep? So again, and gravity also, and that's another theory, theory of gravity. All these things, gravity is their god, by the way. Gravity is the god of the heliocentrists. Any question that they don't know, they just say gravity. Why does what pulls what controls the tides of the water? Gravity. What keeps what makes the Earth spin and holds it together? Gravity. Blah gravity. But so 8 miles is the furthest any humans ever gone down, and yeah. Next question.
Now, when the Russians dug that hole, isn't that where on the old Art Bell show where they said that they heard the sounds of hell coming from there? Eric, do you remember that one?
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. They play about a 15-second burst of these screams. Yeah, I remember that one.
Well, apparently there's 7 planes below and 7 planes above us, and they could even be in the in Freemason occult books that I read. They call it like the celestial spheres. So there could be we're on the flat plane, the flat infinite plane, the electromagnetic geocentric infinite plane, and it's a gyroscopic toroidal field. You know, like a toroidal vortex field. When you cut open an apple, and everything in nature, pine cones, and our hearts, they emit an electromagnetic pulse, and it's and that's the shape of the shape of the world is apparently shapeless. It's strange too that they say that the mainstream physicists say that the galaxy is actually flat. Mm-hmm. It's like, and then they actually say that the mainstream physicists say that the universe, the observable universe, is even flat as a sheet of paper. So let's see here. We can accept the Earth's a sphere, obviously, but the galaxy is obviously flat, and the universe is obviously as flat as a sheet of paper. So I mean, the universe is flat. They know it because they measured it, but they can't just take the They can't take the ISS or the Hubble telescope or one of those 20,000 supposed satellites floating up there in high orbit and just point it to the moon or point it to the Earth, or perhaps get a 24-hour, 24/7 feed of the Earth and perhaps predict weather phenomenon before it happens. I don't know. That would be probably a really good idea, science-related. That would help humanity, prevent natural disasters. But
all right, let's get to more questions from our audience here. Salima has a question. Explain what latitude and longitude mean then, or is that non-existent as well?
Well, I mean, the equator is a man-made it's a concept. There's 0 degrees, and supposedly the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles per hour down there at the equator, and then up where we are is about 500, and at the North Pole it's about spinning at around 200. It goes slower up there. But yeah, the parallel lines, up to the 80th degree parallel, the longitude and latitude, the equator, these are all human concepts, just like the globe concept. The whole world is just made of concepts. It's just made of metaphors. If you ask Neil deGrasse Tyson what is gravity, he'll go, well, I don't know. Next question. Literally. And we can talk about or try to explain it, but when you start talking about what it is, we don't know. We don't know. They just get paid. They're getting paid by the people who are running the program, the Matrix. If you think that you evolved from slime and you're rotating or spinning on a pair ball, that you're in the Matrix, you just got to take take the red pill. Keep taking the red pill. Keep climbing the staircase. And you'll find out that all of these things that you used to think that were real, they're not real. These are all, you have to throw it all away. History is a lie. It's his story. And he's telling you what he wants to hear. History is written by the victors. All truth passes through 3 stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently oppressed. Third, it is accepted as being self-evident.
All right, let's get to another question. This is from Joe. And he is saying, if the Earth is flat and the moon and the sun aren't in space, how can we see the Earth's shadow on the moon?
Well, we think that it's the Earth's shadow on the moon. Let's see here. In Vedic cosmology, there's invisible, well, there's in not only in Vedic cosmology, but in Freemasonic cosmology, there's their history. They talk about invisible celestial bodies in the sky that is creating the shadow, and it's not actually the Earth. So in Vedic cosmology, they call it Rahu and Ketu. So these are that one song, Black Hole Sun. So there's apparently, and also, I mean, I can hold how would a spherical Earth, which is what we supposedly live on, how would a spherical Earth create a flat shadow on the moon twice a month? Nothing that is a ball shape can create a perfectly flat shadow. And a flat shadow happens on the moon in the first quarter and the third quarter. Happens twice a month. How can you have a perfectly symmetrically flat shadow on the moon with a ball. A ball. A ball doesn't make a flat shadow. So you can observe with your own eyes and that there's flat shadows on the moon. That doesn't make any sense. That would only make sense if we lived on a flat plane. but yeah, so it's hard to prove things when you can't, when you don't have a spaceship to go visit these celestial lights in the sky. But luckily, good old Richard Branson's trying his hardest, even though he started Virgin Galactic in 2004, and he's still never sent a single person to space, even though he said he would by now, and he still hasn't. What a coincidence! But we got humans on Mars right now, or we got a rover on Mars right now. Yeah, I just like to talk about things that I can prove myself and have experienced myself with direct experience. That's why I just, if I get in that spaceship, you got to start a GoFundMe, and if I get in that spaceship and go see, I'll totally change my mind if I go up and see a curved Earth.
This is where the aliens come in.
Orbit.
This is where the aliens come in. You got to ask for an abduction happening here.
Daniel, I just tried something when you said that a sphere doesn't cast a flat shadow, and yes, it does. I just did it in my studio. I'm going to take a ball, put a light behind it, and it casts a flat shadow on the wall behind it.
It looks pretty flat though, but it's not flat. It looks flat.
But the object that I cast the shadow with is spherical.
Well, you're going to have to make a little video on that, and you yourself, you have just proved the globe Earth yourself there, because so you yourself, you can make money now, and you've got the number one proof.
There's some things. Okay, I'm looking at the flat Earth theory. Let's take. Okay, how is the sun orbiting, or what's the track the sun takes around the flat Earth? Is it going around, or is it going from the sun under and up?
Well, that's some flat earthers have that model. I don't. Mine is a classic Chinese yin-yang symbol. That's actually the hidden meaning of the yin-yang symbol. The yin-yang symbol itself is a flat Earth model. It's the sun and the moon as the white and the black dots, which is the sun and the moon, and then the pathway, they are going over and around in a circuit over the flat plane, and the sun goes a little bit faster than the moon, and so that's the story of the tortoise and the hare, and so the sun will eventually catch up with the moon. So that's when the eclipse happens. The eclipse happens is when the sun and the moon are overlap over and around the flat plane. During the summertime, the sun is traveling above the equator near the Tropic of Cancer, and that's near the North Pole. And that's in the summertime. And then it's traveling in a figure 8 symbol too. It's a circuit anemoema, and in the wintertime it travels down below the equator in the Tropic of Capricorn, and that's so it's further away. The sun is further away, and that's why it's colder. And when it's up north, that's why it's warmer. And so that explains the seasons right there and eclipses.
So the sun the sun is orbiting. It's not okay. If we had like a flat object, say a pizza, but the sun is traveling along the edge of the crust of the pizza. It's not going
in the winter time. Yeah.
Okay. What's it do? Okay. What's it doing?
And it gets closer, and then it slowly, it's like a heart, it's like a contrast, what was that, contrast and expansion, contraction, expansion, and so it moves out and in, an infinity symbol, widening and then coming close together, over and around in a circuit. And that's why it's obviously the sun has created a barrier around us. That's my theory, at least. That's why we're surrounded by the ice wall. It's like a geothermic puddle. It's the sun itself has created a puddle around us in an atmosphere. That's the ice wall is there because, well, obviously the sun has melted this little petri dish that we live on, flat little petri dish, and to expand further on that extraterrestrial question of what are they hiding beyond the South Pole, the Antarctic Treaty? Why are they guarding it? Why are they guarding it 24/7? Because there could be other Earths out there, other puddles with other moons and suns, other civilizations, and like maybe they don't. Maybe that's Atlantis. Maybe Atlantis is at the middle of the North Pole. That's what they're hiding and protecting. Maybe it's the Fountain of Youth. There's the Ark of the Covenant. Maybe there's giants up there. Maybe there's giants in the North Pole, and that's what the story of the Jack and the Beanstalk. There's so many different theories. There's the theories that there's a dome above us, the dome and there's waters above and waters below. The dome. Some people say the dome's made of glass. Some people say that the dome is made of sapphire blue. Some people say the dome's made of water. Some people say that it's an invisible electromagnetic barrier. Some people say that the aliens have made the barrier, and that's why we can't leave. There's so many different models. It's amazing how many different flat Earth models there are. And it's certainly not that stupid controlled opposition. What's it called? The Flat Earth Society is controlled opposition. If you just go, they mix in truth with lies. So the Flat Earth Society they have that dumb little floating Earth it looks like a disc Earth in a petri disk, and it's just, and they say that that it's constantly accelerating upwards, and that's the cause of gravity. The Flat Earth Society is controlled opposition. It's out there to make real flat earthers like myself and all of the other flat earthers look stupid. Look, they think that there's a turtle. Honestly, I'd rather believe in turtles all the way down than a spinning Earth that I've never seen with my own eyes. But can I give a shout out though to other flat earthers who are keen in their specific field of science? Because if you're not enjoying what I have to say, maybe like I don't want to put everyone off, so I can list all these other flat earth. Well, not like a lot, but
this is about you, my friend. This is about you.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get to some more audience questions here. Craig in the chat room is asking, what would be the purpose of this entire round Earth conspiracy? Why lie about this? What does it prove? What's it for?
Well, let's see here. Well, again, it's not. Please, just not to be a prick, but just say spinning ball or ball Earth to the viewer. I'm saying you got to say ball Earth or a globe Earth or globular Earth or a oblate spheroid. It's not round. A pancake is a lily pad is round. A table is round. It's also square. Pizza is round. You have to be like in flat though. Like a coin is round. All these things are flat though. They're all round and flat. So you have to be specific. But the purpose is that they're hiding free energy. They're hiding the Creator. They're hiding your spirituality. They're hiding more land. They're hiding more resources. They hide scientific knowledge. They hide what's beyond the poles. In Antarctica and the North Pole, they hide where you're at so you don't even know what map you're on. All the maps are incorrect. There's no such thing as a correct globe map. A globe is an accurate depiction of your reality. You don't walk around, you don't have a globe in your car, a GPS system. which means ground positioning. Your radio station's working on ground-based technology. It has nothing to do with satellites in space. It's base triangulation, which is invented by the military. NASA is the military, and most people don't know that. It's the Department of Defense. They're hiding that you're at the center of the universe. They're hiding that you're special. Take your pick. There's a lot. And they also dumb everyone down. That's the whole knowledge is power. That's how it worked back in supposed Dark Ages. All the priests they became the banksters about 6,000 years ago, and then they took control of the banks, and the banks are still run the exact same way that the priest put it together 6,000 years ago. It's just so they are smart. They're the elite 1% who are billionaires who have more money than they know what to do with. And we're the lowly 99%.
I understand where you're going with this, but that still doesn't answer the question. Why do this? What is the purpose of what is the purpose of the conspiracy? It has nothing to do with the Illuminati, because are they doing it just to screw with people's minds, or are they doing this because there is some sort of other pandemic that they're trying to hide?
Oh yeah, you said. To go back on what you said earlier too. I also don't believe that all of the land surveyors, architects, engineers, pilots, scientists are all in it together on some grand conspiracy going. We got these suckers tricked. They think that the Earth is a spinning ball, but it's actually flat, and we're holding all the knowledge against these fools. No, it's just like, dude, I've talked to engineers and pilots and snipers, tons of military people, tons of mainstream scientists I lost my point here. What were we working with there?
Well, just in regards to why have this conspiracy of saying the Earth is round?
Yeah, there's no. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, there's I just wanted to dispel that out of the way real quick. Like, I don't believe that everyone's in on it together. You know what I mean? I just wanted to put that out there real quick. And NASA makes $50 million a day, and they collect $20 billion annually. And also, they keep everyone stupefied in a four-eyed stare. I don't care if the Earth is flat. What does it matter? What does it even matter? Even if NASA comes out and they say that the Earth is flat, I don't care. It's not going to change my life. No one cares. People don't even care about the truth. What does it matter? That means that all of everything that they've been telling us about is a lie. If the very shape of the thing that they without the globe model, then the Big Bang model wouldn't even be considered. Without the Big Bang model, the theory of evolution wouldn't be on the table. Without the theory of evolution, extraterrestrial seeding mankind is over. Without all these lies, and people start thinking about where they are, maybe perhaps there's intelligence, divine intelligence, and that they have a fate and destiny, and that they can take control of their lives, and that they have to be bossed around by this sheep herd mentality matrix 9-to-5 system that everyone seems to. It's just everyone is making fun of people who are questioning current models and current paradigms and current theories, and so that are all accepted and taught. So it's like I'm just interested in the truth. I'm investigating supposed reality. It has to. I mean, that's a significant thing there. Like, if people don't care about where they're at, then like you might as well turn to go back to sleep. Like, just go. Bill Hicks, go back to sleep, America. Your government loves you. Everything is under control. Nothing is wrong. Like the government and NASA, they're not. They're not your friend.
Yes, but you still haven't addressed, and I'm going to keep hammering on
totally
you on this.
Addressed it.
I
totally addressed it.
We got 90 minutes left, man, and I'm going to keep going on you. It just still doesn't answer the question of why pull this lifelong lie.
Dear. I've beaten it in. Like they're hiding knowledge. They're hiding you, your soul, yourself.
I understand. I understand where you're
people
getting.
Don't even
with
want to sit down and meditate. They don't even know what it's like to sit down on a chair for 10 minutes. When's the last time you sat down on a chair for 10 minutes with complete silence and quiet, just to sit down for no one. These are things that are important to me. Just silence and quiet.
I get that, but I understand the aspects. And don't take this the wrong way. I see you going around the question. I don't see you attacking it, just answering why.
I don't know how many answers you want here. I've given at least
all right, I'll let you
10
think about
answers
that.
there, but
I'll let you think about that one, and we'll move on. Jamie has a question in our chat room at spacedoutradio.com, and he is asking, if the Earth isn't round, how does it spin? Flat like a plate, or end over end? Or are we sitting idle?
You say flat like what?
Flat like a plate.
Oh.
Yeah, does it spin like a frisbee, or does it spin like a flipping coin?
It doesn't spin at all. It's stationary, fixed, motionless, non-rotating. Doesn't move, immovable. No machinery. Even Einstein admitted, if you look that up, that no optical device could measure the movement of the Earth. Nothing can move. You can't measure the movement of the Earth because it doesn't move. It also can't be detected because it's stationary. So it doesn't move. It doesn't spin. The only time it moves is when there's an earthquake, and that's actually, you can measure that. Go with a seismograph. That's when that little needle moves up and down. That's when there is movement. If the Earth was spinning, that thing would be going off the charts constantly. Oh yeah, gravity fixes that. But yeah, dude, I mean, you said, why would they lie about the shape of the Earth? I've already, they're hiding free energy, hiding the Creator, hiding your spirituality, hiding more land, hiding more real resources, hiding scientific knowledge, hiding what's in Antarctica, hiding where you're at, hiding that you're special, that you're, I don't understand how that doesn't answer. They make $50 million a day. They keep everyone repeating theories, regurgitating parrot ideas that come from other men. You're not even going to die with your own thoughts in your head. You're going to die with other people's thoughts in your head. You have other people's theories, other people's ideas, and you don't even have any of your own. I get ridiculed for trying to come up with my own theories. I'm not like pissing. I'm not throwing Einstein in the garbage. I'm not making fun of it. These people have contributed a lot to scientific knowledge and the advancement of humanity. I have Einstein's books, Einstein out of my later years. I collect. I'm a book collector. A bookseller. I collect all Walter Russell's books on light, and I just been looking at it for so long. It just doesn't make any more sense. It doesn't. It's all completely obviously fabricated nonsense. Gibberish pseudoscience that's been pushed down our throats, and now we all think it's real, and then make fun of someone who questions it.
I'm not making fun of you. I'm not making fun of you questioning it. I'm not making you fun of questioning it at all. All I'm saying is...
Oh, no, I'm not, I'm not saying that.
And as a journalist, I'm going to tell you, because I have the microphone, I'm going to tell you I'm not satisfied with your answer. That is my job as a journalist.
It's going to take your own research. It's going to take you. I appreciate you having me on, and I like. It's not my ultimate goal to just like. I don't want to be the beacon of and just trying to convert and trying to make everyone into flat Earth believers. That goes against everything that I say. I don't want to make people into believers. I want them to do their own research and look into themselves. I can't. You can lead a horse to knowledge or to water, but you can't make them drink. You can lead a human to knowledge, but you can't make them think.
I understand that. I am trying my damnedest to believe you. I even put my tinfoil hat on. I don't even put that. I don't even put that on for my wife, man. During them sexy times, man. I don't do that.
You didn't hear what I said. I don't need you to. I don't want you to believe. That's just. I want you to just think a little bit, and obviously you are. And so let's go next question. I'm sorry. I couldn't satisfactorily answer your. I thought I did a good job, but well, what are you going to do? I can't satisfy everyone.
Hey, man, neither did my ex-wife, but that's another topic for another night. Let's get into Matt's question here. And Matt is asking, what is up then with all the odd flight paths? All of these detours to refuel. On the globe map, it makes no sense.
Oh, it makes perfect sense. I'm glad you asked. That's an amazing question. That's another thing that completely opened my eyes up was studying the flight paths. If you just go, you can use apps on your phone. You can go to online and just look at all the current flight paths that are going, and all flight paths go from east to west and west to east. I mean, obviously there's some north and south deviations, but never do you have a plane going over the North Pole to the other side of the globe or over Antarctica. They always go around the edge of it. They always go around it. So all flight paths are east to west and west to east, and I find that really funny. There was a story, you remember the pregnant woman who had to stop, let's see here, she was flying over Alaska, pregnant lady flying over Alaska, and they had to stop in Los Angeles to give birth to the baby, obviously, and if you map it out on a globe, it just doesn't it doesn't make any sense. But if you map it out on a flat plane, it's a straight line. It would make no sense to go from they go completely. They take curved routes. They stop off at places that make absolutely no sense. That's total waste of gas, total waste of time. The flight paths are total anomaly. That's one of the most interesting subjects is looking at the flight paths. It doesn't make any sense at all.
So Daniel, with the satellites that we use, I mean, how many of the satellites that are supposed to be up there do you think are real? I'm talking artificial, man-made.
I think that obviously there's military planes, jets, and secret planes, like bomber or those V-shaped things that they use, or saucers maybe even. But I'll just say planes and regular airplanes, commercial planes, and military aircraft. It's known fact that they have planes flying over constantly, and there's not even any man in there. They're just they're satellites, literally. And so a satellite is a satellite dish on the side of a building. You have satellite dishes in cactuses in the middle of the desert. When I went to Northern California, I don't even get satellite in the forest or in the mountains. When I'm in the deserts or in the mountains and there's forest, I don't get satellite connection. But there's satellites floating around up there 24/7, and I can't get any satellites. I live next to a mountain here in San Diego, and I can barely get reception up on a 1,600-foot hill up there. It's like, but satellites are supposedly going 24/7. That doesn't make any sense. But yeah, there's obviously low orbit satellites, and low orbit satellites are those military planes and planes in general, and balloons. You can have. I mean, they do that.
So how does our GPS system work? I mean, a lot of things in daily life depend on GPS.
Well, yeah, they say that you know how the internet works? The internet is based off of underground cables, underwater cables. All the seas, like 98% of the oceans and the seas are layered with ground wires of that's the communication that they use. That's the internet. So that's a fact. You don't even they've been setting that up from the get-go. You don't even need satellites when you have that's what they use. It's very tricky. It's very clever. Very clever. Well, also, there's floaty little buoys with satellite connections in the oceans. That's another one.
Okay, I'll give you that one. It just seems like that's a lot of expense to go through. I mean, I'm probably one of the only people in the listening that doesn't have a GPS of some kind in his car. And if it's all military hardware, the fact that they're letting us use it for free is kind of a trip.
Yeah, they screwed up. They screwed up, definitely. Computers is the greatest invention that has been to date. That's a complete military invention, and they completely screwed up with releasing the internet to us. And that's another thing with the flat Earth is that since NASA has just released all of their official pictures are perfect spheres. If you look at the official blue marble picture from 1972, the most famous picture ever taken, it's a perfect sphere. But all the mainstream scientists nowadays are saying that the Earth is an oblate spheroid, or that it's pear-shaped or potato-shaped. So if all the official NASA pictures ever have been perfect spheres, why are all these other scientists saying that it's different shape and not a perfect sphere? That's complete contradiction and anomaly right there.
Well, that's a mathematical abstraction. It bulges. The Earth bulges at the center, and that picture was taken from the moon, and the moon is what causes the Earth to bulge, plus the spin. So if you're standing on the moon, you're looking and taking that picture, you're not going to see the bulge because it's right below you. It's a matter of perspective. But just the physics of taking, I mean, you could put an orange on a lathe and spin it, and you would see it, spread in the middle. But, okay, here's another thing with flat Earth that I have a problem with.
Yeah.
I look up into the sky and I see certain constellations. My friends in Australia, like Robert White, they look up in the sky, they see a different set of constellations. I'm thinking the Southern Cross and the Large Magellanic Cluster. If the Earth is flat, why do we have different, why do we have different skies at night?
Well, we always, we do have different skies at night, just like your friend just said. we see opposite ends. It's what you just said. It still works on a flat plane. Like when we look up at the moon, and we see we always see the one face of it. We never ever see the dark side of the moon. It's only the white rabbit, the one face. And when I'm looking at it, say in the northern hemisphere, I'll play along, and when you look at it in the southern hemisphere, it's just you're looking at it from opposite. It's hard to explain over the radio, but you're looking at it from on one side, looking up at an angle, and then you're over a long ways on the other side of the flat plane, and you're looking up at it too. So you're seeing you're seeing the upside down of the same thing. That still works on a flat plane, and since the thousands and thousands of years ago, sea navigators have always used the constellations to navigate the seas and to not die, and they all use the North Pole, the Polaris star. The Polaris is the North Star, and the North Star has always been there. It's always stayed there for thousands of years. Although some people say that the North Star wasn't the North Star at one point; it was a different star. Okay, well, you weren't then. You didn't see that then, so you're just saying that. You're just again.
Hang on, Daniel. Hang on. With the North Star, here again, somebody south of the, let's assume the spheroid model here for a second.
Yeah.
There is no pole star. There's no bright pole star that can be used in the south. They don't see Polaris. So why if Polaris is fixed to a fixed point, why can't they see it?
Well, because they're obviously too far away. They're at a specific angle. It's the North Pole. The North Star is in the center of in the direct true center of the geocentric Earth, and you're at close to the outer edges of the South Pole, supposedly. Then obviously you're not going to be able to see it. The angle, you're not going to. You know what I mean by the angle there? You're going
to have to back up a second on that. We're talking the angle. Okay, if the North Star is a fixed point directly overhead, how can what's the angle we're getting at?
Yeah, we're talking about something that doesn't exist. First off, let me say. So I'm trying to hypothetically explain something that doesn't exist, that can't exist because it doesn't exist. But I'm trying to make sense of something that doesn't exist. You see a problem there, like that. Like it doesn't work in the globe model because it's not the globe model doesn't exist. People say that the flat Earth is a psyop. Did you hear that one? That's a psychological operation that the CIA invented to dupe people away from the real truth and stuff that matters and talk about. It's just the globe is the psyop, is the psychological operation warfare, and just trying to explain something, these hypothetical situations that never can exist, like gravity that you can't measure, speed of light that's not constant, that they say it's a constant. All these things are just. It gets really grinding to try to explain stuff that doesn't exist and can't be explained because it doesn't exist. That's also a trick that they use to try to befuddle you and confuse you into because it doesn't. You're trying to pull me into something that you can't explain it if it doesn't work in your model. It works in the flat. It works in the flat model.
How does the pole star work on the flat Earth model? Because we can't say it doesn't exist because people can navigate.
It's always there. It's never moved, and so it's the constellations are moving in a clockwise. The stars, the constellations are fixed in the sky in the heavens and they're moving over and around, rotating like a timepiece. The Earth is a flat timepiece. The sun is the hour hand, and the moon is the minute hand. And it's a perfectly invented, a perfectly created timepiece. And it works like one too, the exact same way. And the sun and I mean.
Well, one of the things.
Yeah.
Something you can do as a just a easy experiment is aim a camera and do a movie camera and do a time lapse, and you get a counter-rotational. The stars have a counterclockwise rotation in the northern hemisphere, but in the southern they go clockwise.
Yeah.
How do we explain that with the flat Earth?
Well, you're saying something that is supposedly how it works in the globe model, but it's just the stars are the stars, the sun, and the moon are all rotating around the flat plane, like in a clockwise pattern, and
well, that I'll give you, but I'm just saying if I look up in the sky, okay, and it doesn't even take anything that fancy. Take a constellation, say Orion.
Yeah.
And I watch it as it goes through the sky. And it has a direction, depending on the season, it has a direction. But I think Orion's one of the few that's visible from both north and south ends. It has a different rotation from when viewed from a southern viewpoint. That's where I'm having a trouble with this. How does it invert itself on a flat plane if everything's spinning in the same direction? How does it invert itself depending on where you're standing on the disk?
Well, I guess it's just a matter of where you're standing on your location on the disk. So, it's based on your location, and I guess the perspective. But also all these different elliptical patterns of different simultaneously shifting and wobbling planets and stars in the sky. If you did do a time lapse, it would never create the perfect circles that it creates. The reason it creates these perfect circle patterns, which supports my clockwise flat model, which I just said, is because it is flat. And the reason it doesn't create all of these, if you did a time lapse, and if Earth really was a globe flying through the space, and you have planets flying on different patterns, these wandering planets that don't go along with the fixed stars, then all of the star trails would create. There would be no symmetry. It would be all like a child scribbled on it. Like a child scribbled on the time lapse. It would be all over the place, all these lines. It would be no perfect symmetry, in my opinion.
Here's the problem. We've only got a couple minutes till we have to go on break. It seems to me that if the way the moon is traveling across the flat Earth, there would be a point where I would see one face and say somebody in Africa would see the back face, or what we call the dark side of the moon, because it's a tidal locked orbit. How do we not have that happen?
You're saying, why don't we see the dark or the back side of the moon?
Yeah, at the same time, like if the Earth is flat, I'm seeing the moon's usual, bunny face. Yeah. Then somebody in Africa at the same time should be able to see the back side of the moon, because the moon isn't rotating, it's locked in a tidal.
I'm not quite getting that out. I don't understand why if you would be able to see the dark side of the moon if it's in space 238,000 miles away. How would you be able to see the back side of it? That is why the reason why you don't see the back side of it is because gravity. Because gravity keeps it in place and tidally locked there, right? And it's just yeah. I don't think that the reason why we don't see the back side of the moon is because it's not a ball. It's so we can't. You can't do your example because the moon isn't a ball. It's also not something you can land on. You can see stars through the moon. You ever see those pictures? You could literally see stars, and a lot of cultures' flags, like the Persian flag and Arabian flag, they show the crescent moon with the stars right in the middle of it. Because,
true that.
Well,
Daniel, I hate to cut you off there, but I got to start prepping for a break. I want to say appreciate you being on the show tonight, man. I really do.
Well, thanks for having me on, Dave. This has been extremely awesome.
Absolutely. And you continue the flat earth fight. You do that. You do that, my friend. I want to appreciate that. We're going to be right back with hour number 3 of Space Out Radio coming up. While you're there during the break, perusing the old SOR website, make sure you check out our great features. Check out the Bumblefoot page. If you've had an experience, go to the SOR Sightlines report. Read up on the Spacewire. Maybe you can become the next member of the SOR Space Travelers Club. Coming up right after this. It's going to be a good time. Make sure you check out our sponsors as well. You take care. We'll be right back.
The SOR Sightlines is the place for you to find answers to your strange experiences. Hi there, this is Mike Schmidt. If you have had an encounter with ghosts, UFOs, Bigfoot, ETs, or anything else that doesn't make sense, head to spacedoutradio.com and file a Sightlines report. All information you give is 100% confidential, and I will personally help you find the answers you need. SOR Sightlines, your answers are a click away.
Have you got your Cosmic Passport? If you need one, tune in to Cosmic Passport on Spaced Out Weekend. This is Elizabeth Anglin, ET experiencer, spirit medium, and host of Cosmic Passport. Each weekend I'll be bringing you interviews and support from other paranormal experiencers, and the best in intuitive spiritual guidance from across the globe. It's all happening starting at 9 p.m. Pacific Time, midnight Eastern, on spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with U4COP. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
This is your medium, Joanna, from Spaced Out Weekend, 2 mediums and a large. I would love it if you would come and join us with host James Tyson every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. Together, we will take your calls and your questions live. Our goal is to provide you with a positive outlook on deep questions that you may have. Questions regarding love, relationships, money, or whatever else is on your mind. Come and check us out at spacedoutradio.com.
This is Eric Markham, news editor for the Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter Online. We have put together a great team of writers and journalists from all over the world to bring you top-quality paranormal stories, from alien encounters to the latest conspiracies. You won't find any of that fake news here. True stories and top-notch reporting as we look to bring these experiences to the mainstream. The Encounter Online, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and hashtag Spaced Out Radio, and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show. Now, back to the program.
A child grew up too fast, went running wild. Now we don't know who to pray to anymore.
Welcome back to the final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning us in tonight. Tomorrow night on the program, we're getting into the SOR Roundtable, because we are rocking it out. Final Friday of the month, we do the roundtable, so I hope all of you join on in, check it on out, because we're hitting topics from the month that was, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. We welcome in our terrestrial radio stations now, WQEE 99, Rock the Key down in Newnan, Georgia. We are also live on the United Public Radio Network on 107.7 FM in New Orleans and over 160 countries around the world. Good to have you with us as well. We're live in Las Vegas on Renegade Talk Radio. We're also live on KTLK, the Fringe FM. And if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Paragmenin is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets a password each and every night. And if you're wondering what the password is for, because there was a couple people asking the other night, exactly. That's your answer. Exactly. Hey, if you want to follow us on social media, you can do so on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio if you want to connect with us during the show as well, like Canadian Joe, Jeff, Gravitron Fish, Mike B, Skeptic, Muji Boy. All of you combined, thank you for showing up tonight, doing your thing. We're also live in all of our chat rooms as well. We got a plethora of those. You can tune us in on TuneIn, download this show and others on iTunes. We're on RadioGuide.fm, TalkStream Live, Player FM, and Stitcher, and our website is SpacedOutRadio.com, where we got some really cool features and swag around. We got T-shirts coming. They are being made as we speak. Should have them online in a couple of weeks. Hope you grab your Spaced Out Radio T-shirt from us. And you can check out The Encounter online, our brand new news section put together by our editors, Everett Thiemer and Eric Markham. Tonight, we are talking Flat Earth. We're going to hour number 3 with Daniel Falkenbach. We're also joined by our resident scientist and from The Encounter, Eric Markham. Gentlemen, welcome back.
Hi, Dave.
Hello?
Daniel.
Sorry. I just checked my battery real quick. It goes down quick.
Are we still good?
Yeah, we're good. We're grade A.
Now is that screen flat, or do you got one of them rounded screens on your phone?
Oh no, I got a flat screen.
Okay, just making sure. You know, one of the things, and we talked about it in the first hour, and I want to get back to this for a few minutes here. Okay, because I think it's important. You know, there's a lot of theories in regards to the argument that the Earth is flat, and you've presented a lot of those theories tonight, and I can appreciate that. Okay, I don't think people are scared, or the round earthers, or whatever you want to call them, the globalists, or whatever you want to call them. I don't think they're scared to learn that the Earth is flat. I don't think they're scared by the fact that you have a different opinion and other flat earthers out there have a different opinion. But why do you think, out of all the conspiracies, that this one just absolutely enrages people? Because I'm reading the comments tonight. Some people are being polite, others are being rude, others are speaking their mind, others are scratching their head. It's one of those topics, Dan, that absolutely drives people hairy, more so than aliens, more so than Bigfoot and other conspiracies out there.
Yeah, that's the whole "why would they lie" question, like you were trying to beat it out of me earlier. Also, it's the fact that you're presenting to them something that they've never thought of before. It's never come across their. I mean, maybe they've thought about it, but they never took it seriously. That maybe it could be plausible, and I've come across this with a lot of people in my life. So they've never thought about it. I can see right on their face that it's never crossed their mind before. So they think that they're avid conspiracy theorists and conspiracy researchers or conspiracy hunters, but they've never come across the mother of all conspiracies. I mean, there's all types of conspiracy, hollow hoax, there's very controversial topics out there, but this is the one that they've never thought of, and that they never. It's something that was told to us is dumb. As people, we grew up. The first time we heard about the flat Earth is in school. Oh, people in the Dark Ages used to believe that the Earth is flat. Stupid cavemen people. And so it's already affiliated with stupidity and ridicule and mocking. And so they do that on purpose. And I say they is just globalists. My view on like you said, Illuminati is completely different on the other flat earthers that I've noticed. I'm a non-dual person. I enjoy the positive, the negative, and the positive and negative. No globe, that means that there's no rotation. That means there's no orbit. That means it's not heliocentric. That means it is geocentric. But that means there's no Big Bang Theory. That means there's no Darwinism or evolution. That means there's no missing link. That means that we're not here by random chance. That means we're unique. The center of everything, intelligent design, is either a god or some sort of intelligent creator. It means the awakening of mankind and the crumbling of the satanic Luciferian system that we're governed by and grown up in, and that's the end of the NWO. I think that's a good reason.
I almost spilled out that question again, but I'm going to hold back on that one. I am going to hold back.
I just answered it again.
Dude, you so didn't. And we'll argue about this. I have no problem arguing about this.
Awesome. That's awesome.
I tell you, man, if we ever get together, you're buying the drinks. I'm going to tell you that right now.
I got you.
Because maybe a couple of tequilas will get me to understand this. You know.
Okay.
Even though
just give me a blanket and a cot, and I got the drinks.
I just may need a corner just in case I got to rock myself. Okay. So that's all I'm going to say about that. So I'm still questioning. Okay, the whole competency of trying to figure out the tides and gravity on it. You touched on it earlier in hour number 2. Can you go a little bit more in depth with me on that? Because if the moon, like science says, like mainstream science says, if the moon helps control the gravity and the tides of the oceans and all waters, if the moon isn't really there, okay?
No, the moon's there.
Okay, so the moon is there. Okay, I'm trying to figure this out on my own here. Okay, so the moon is there. We got the moon, but it's not as big as we think. Correct?
How far? Not as far away as
How far away is it? Is it past the Van Allen belt? Before the Van Allen belt? Is it right in the middle?
The common consensus is that it's 3,000 to 4,000 miles away, and that actually they're a lot smaller. Supposedly they're 30 to 50 miles wide, so very, very small. And the Earth is the biggest one, obviously. The Earth is the biggest, the biggest, the center, the geocentric, and the moon is the primary source, and then people say that the sun is the secondary, but in my opinion, they're equal because they're individual objects that give off the moon, or the sun gives off its own heat, and the moon gives off its own coldness. It's completely, you can measure the temperature of the moonlight compared to the moon shade, and the moonlight is colder. So I mean, that's a literal experiment that you can perform that proves that it's not sunlight reflecting off the moon. And also, to answer your tide question, the moon has nothing to, the gravity doesn't exist, by the way. Gravity is a hoax. It doesn't exist. What gravity is, I'll explain it without the word gravity. I don't need the word gravity. Gravity equals density, buoyancy, and weight. So anything that you can describe gravity with, I don't need to use that. I can describe anything with density, buoyancy, and weight. So when I drop my car keys or a lighter, it falls to the ground because its density is more than the air surrounding it. so it falls to the ground and lands on the ground. The reason why it doesn't go through the ground is because the ground is more dense than the car keys, or as dense, so it lands on it. If it was a puddle of water and a couple of inches thick, it would drop down to the bottom because the water is less dense than the car keys. When I hold a helium balloon and I let go of it, it goes up not because of gravity. It goes up because its density is less than the air surrounding it. It's lighter. The helium is lighter than the oxygen, so it rises. I don't need to use the word gravity. Buoyancy explains the reason why thousands of tons ships are on top of water without sinking, because it has chambers of buoyancy in it that keeps it afloat. Gravity is selective. Gravity picks and chooses what it wants to hold to the Earth. Gravity holds trillions of pounds of ocean water to the supposedly forms in a ball around the spherical Earth, but gravity doesn't affect fish, birds, fireworks, weather balloons, helicopters, plants. If the Coriolis effect was real, if the Earth was really spinning below my feet, then I would simply have to, people in a helicopter in Los Angeles would just hover up, and then 4 hours later, Japan would be underneath you, because the Earth is rotating beneath you, and you're hovering. Oh, well, then globalists will say that the helicopter is attached to the atmosphere. Well, then I'd say, how can a closed environment atmosphere with a vacuum, that has an environment to survive next to an open system and not a vacuum of space? How can a non-vacuum, which is Earth, which is a closed system environment, exist next to an open system environment? That's like thinking that if you take out the rim of your car, the rim of your car tire, that's like thinking that the rubber tires would still support the car without falling apart. The Earth would just implode. There's so many. If the Coriolis effect was real, that would mean if I'm at the equator and I'm having dinner with a loved one, because the equator is about 1,066 miles per hour, they say it spins at. So if I'm at the equator, that's faster than the speed of sound. That would mean if my loved one was sitting next to the east on my east side, and I said I love you, she wouldn't be able to hear it because my voice waves, the sound waves, travel slower than the speed of sound. So she wouldn't even be able to hear me whispering sweet nothings in her ear. When I ask my military friends about the sniper equation, the Coriolis equation, you should see the looks on their faces, man. It's hilarious. So what's the Coriolis equation? How do you equate the curvature of the Earth into your sniper? They don't. They look at the target and they pull a trigger. No sniper on the plane goes, oh, I'm gonna do my equations first. It's a flat plane of ballistic missile ballistics. There's something called a rail gun that shoots 100-mile beam. A rail gun can't work on a globe. You can't shoot 100-mile beams on a globe. It would hit the curve. It will only work on a flat plane. Laser.
Okay, Daniel, hang on. All right, what you're getting at there would be true in a vacuum, because there would be nothing acting on the projectile. But you said it earlier about the ballistic effect. Even if something is shot from a rail gun, there's a point where the force maxes out and then begins to decline, and that is where, that's what your trajectory is calculated on. So that article, I do a lot of shooting, and I know that you have to take into account.
No, you do not. I'm sorry. You do not think about what do you stick your finger in the air and lick it and go, let's see here, the wind is going. No, I'm just being funny.
No, but you have to account for each type of ammunition has a trajectory. given a certain amount of powder, it's going to level out, and then it's going to start to fall back to the earth. That's just, that's just the way it is. Otherwise, if you shot your 22, it would run straight out from where you shot it out 1.5 miles and then drop as soon as it ran out of force. That's not how it happens. It actually has an arc to it. Now, in space, I'll grant you, if you shoot, well, that's easily proved. You can do that on a target range out, with any yardage whatsoever. Is 1 kilometer kill shot in sniper school. You have to take in trajectory, wind direction. There's a lot. There's a lot to set up. Well, trajectory is all part of the ballistic curve of a given round.
Well, I just do not agree with that. That's just a bullet is affected by the Coriolis effect, but weather balloons aren't. I'm just very confused about that whole thing.
Well, I'm not understanding what you're calling the Coriolis effect. Is how water goes down a drain based on the spin of the Earth, and it's a fallacy.
Well, yeah, the Coriolis effect affects the bullet too.
How? This is something I haven't heard before. Let me explain how that works. And what creates the Coriolis effect? Let's go back to the basic thing. Where does what creates or generates the Coriolis effect?
The opposite spins of each sphere of the Earth, the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere, that are spinning in opposite directions simultaneously, but all together as one. So you have the top half spinning clockwise, and then you have the bottom half spinning counterclockwise, but all together, the whole system as a globe is working as one. And that's why weather balloons and helicopters, that's why they're able to, that's why it doesn't affect them. You see, I have to think about stuff that doesn't exist, explain things away. It's just, very, very strange, very, very strange, very genius divide and conquer tactics there. It's just, see, you're inside of equations, and you're this is a Tesla quote. Scientists today have built a structure around reality that is based off of mathematics and equations that has no basis in reality. It's completely erroneous and speculative and all. It's just
okay. No. Let's go back to the Coriolis effect. Okay.
Yeah.
How is
which
it?
I don't believe
how
in.
Is it?
I don't.
Well, what do you call it when you pull the plug out of your bathtub and you see the spiraling, the funnel or the?
Oh man, that's a mythical fallacy. That was the only reason why you believe that is because you saw it on a Simpsons episode. The same thing with me. And it can be easily proven wrong. You can just, depending on the way the bowl is made, and depending on where you position the faucet, I'll make a video myself tomorrow, and I'll prove the Coriolis effect wrong. If the toilet bowl is built in the way where it's going counterclockwise, well, it's going to go counterclockwise. You can't have.
Let's have a passive system. Let's use a passive system instead of something where you start the water in a direction. Let's just take a sink.
Yeah.
You're done with your dishes and you pull the plug.
Yeah.
There's no current. It's just a static. You just pull the plug. You're going to get a rotation as the water goes down.
No, it'll all go. It'll all go in. If the water's completely flat and still, and unmanipulated, it'll all go in there from every angle together at the same time.
But you set up a beaker of water. Say you get a 2-liter beaker, so you can see through it. It's a glass beaker, and it has a little plug in the bottom. you pull that plug out, and you put it, as the water is draining, you add some dye, you will see the dye will spin, and it forms like a vortex, like a tornado, as it passes out the bottom. What is that effect?
Well, that's the natural effect of what I was talking about earlier. That's what everything. That's what the whole universe runs on. That resonance frequency. That toroidal mathematical resonance is what that is. The water's obviously going down in a vorticular pattern, but it can be shown to go down clockwise and counterclockwise, depending on where you position the faucet. I mean, this is easily proven. It's just
no. Let's leave the faucets out. I'm talking a passive system where you've got a contained amount of water. You're not adding anything to it, and you pull the plug. You get that vortex effect. What is causing? And there's a spin to it.
I'm not saying that there isn't a vortex. That's pretty much my model, is the toroidal vortex field. That's what it is. That's what you're talking about. You're talking about it's obviously a toroidal vortex that's going down there. I agree with you. That has something to do with.
Paint me a picture of this. Okay, I know what a toroid is, and I'm intrigued here. You know, if you had a donut that you could turn, and all of it, you know, it actually can be done with like one of those water snake things.
Yep.
Now, let's talk about how the toroid affects the physics as it, paint us a picture of how the toroidal physics works with the flat Earth theory, how you use that to advance the theory.
Okay. Well, now I'm gonna I'll hand it off to I'll give a shout out to the masters of that, who are Santos Bonacci is the master of the gyroscopic toroidal vortex field. He is beyond my has gone well beyond my understanding of that. He's one of my close friends, actually, and I'm going to be talking with him soon. I'll have him on one of my hangouts soon. So I'll get a personal presentation from him on that, and I'll ask him specifically to explain what you just asked me. So Santos Bonacci, I'm going to, like I said in the beginning of the second hour, if you don't like what I'm saying, if you want to listen to other people, I'm going to list off a bunch of awesome flat earthers or just I don't knowers and trying to find outers. And these people in their specific field of science are amazing, and I'm just going to shout them out. Like I just said to you, Santos Bonacci is the master of explaining the toroidal physics and science. He does the science of syncretism and astrotheology. Ken Wheeler, he's a master of magnetics. He's literally the Tesla of magnetics right now. His name's Ken Wheeler. Brian Mullen, he's taking his flight break right now because he's getting unbelievably harassed by everyone. And he just got married, but he's a master of the raw physics of the flat Earth. You have people like Rob Skiba, Mark Sargent, and Jeranism. Rob Skiba, Jeranism, Mark Sargent. They're just they do all independent experiments, and they have unbelievable general knowledge. Eric Dubay has his own flat Earth book, 200 Proofs That the Earth is Flat. Matt Powerland I'm just listening because we have all these different interesting people. It's not just me. There's so many. You have artists. Matt Powerland is an artist, and he's an idea spreader, an official scientist. Now I'm sure you've heard of Eric Dullard. Have you ever heard of Eric Dullard?
Yes.
Yeah, he's been getting into the flat Earth, and he's a master of electric universe theory. electromagnetics. Michael Tellinger is a very famous low-key, almost mainstream guy. Michael Tellinger. He's the leader of the Ubuntu movement. He's a master of the origins of mankind and ancient civilizations, and he's a flat earther. You obviously heard of B.O.B. He's a celebrity artist, rapper. ODD, same thing. David Wolf is another guy that have you heard of David Wolf?
Yes, I have.
David Wolf is another. He's a nutritionist like Owen Fox and Dave Murphy, allegedly Dave. Those are nutritionists. Brother Sanchez, and like you have all these different characters, and I just really wanted to. I hope I can. If you don't like me, listen to me or my ideas, that you'll go check out their YouTube pages and all their work.
It's not a matter of liking or disliking, Daniel. It's just a matter of, you say that there's no Coriolis effect. Okay, I'll give you that, and then you say, but what I want you to do, what the question I want you to ask. What is causing what, let's just say, the deluded masses are calling the Coriolis effect? If it doesn't exist, what takes its place?
Some sort of causal pulse wave, and the original cause of that pulse. There's some sort of pulse. The heartbeat of the. I mean, I think the Earth is alive, a being. The same thing with the whole entire universe. I've experienced its intelligence before personally, and I've been completely horrified by it. But I just think that it's. I mean, you're asking me what basically is the. It's electric force. It's an electric force. It's the only thing. That's the only answer I can come up with. Like,
okay,
I don't know.
Force that takes on the form of a toroidal current, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. Yeah, even a pancake that's flat has a bottom surface. Do you think there's a civilization we don't know of living on the underside? Is there another system, or is that all just wasted space down there?
Well, there we go. So not only could there be other humans and other life forms, call them ETs, on the other side of the other puddles, beyond the Antarctic, beyond the ice. But there also could, like you just said, there also could be, and there's Santos Bonacci. That's his model. I've talked with people I've been contacted by the Galactic Federation of Light via Skype. People living a dude living in India who claims, and then after months of talking with him, I'm contacting you, and I'm in the underground bases. I'm in the under the ground, in the underground. So it's just like, well, there could be reptilians or draconians or giants or Bigfoot, or there could be different life underneath the, like I said earlier, the seven planes below and the seven planes above. And apparently the seventh plane is hell, and there's the eternal hell, and there's two hells, the sixth hell and the seventh hell. But you still have a chance once you go to, like, people think they're in hell in the sixth hell, but you still have a chance to come back to the light. But once you get to the final seventh, like you're saying, what is under? I don't know. Could be hell. Like that's what they tell us. But yeah.
Well, it almost seems if we're on a flat disk and we've got the Earth and the Moon, in order to keep it from wobbling or getting off center, it almost seems like there would have to be a counterbalance underneath. So that does open up the possibility that underneath there's another civilization or something.
Mm-hmm.
There, if you had the sun and the moon traveling around the outside edge, that would cause a wobble that we would see. It's like putting a marble on the backside of a frisbee and trying to spin it. It's going to spin off. It's going to cause the frisbee to spin crazy. So it would almost say, if it's a flat Earth, it almost dictates that there's got to be a counterbalance under.
That Ken Wheeler and Santos Bonacci, they call that counter space. Instead of you have space and then they call it counter space. I'm a follower of the work, and it's just different definitions and terminology to talk about all these things that Einstein and all these Newton called their Carl Sagan, Stephen Hawking. I don't. How could someone with Lou Gehrig's disease outlive Lou Gehrig? That he doesn't. It's just like they're just puppets. They're no different than the presidents. They're just the scientist puppet presidents are Bill Nye with his new show and Michio Kaku and Neil deGrasse, and they're just puppets Stephen Hawking. They're put in place so everyone worships them. They're the new gods. They're the new heroes. There's just
part of what's kept Stephen Hawking alive longer than Lou Gehrig was medicine has come light years ahead of where it was when Lou Gehrig developed. They didn't have and I'm not altogether sure for Stephen Hawking's case that he's really had a favor done to him for him. But anyway, I got a question from Trip and Fool here in the SOR Spreaker chat. He's like, okay, since atheists don't believe in heaven or hell, what's on the other side of the flat earth for them?
If atheists don't believe in hell or heaven, what's on the other side of the flat earth for them? Well, I don't think I haven't met an atheist flat earther. I don't think there is such a thing.
It's mutually exclusive.
What's up? Yeah, I'm not an atheist at all. I actually tend to make fun of atheists, and I'm not. I was raised Catholic. I actually got my communion and confirmation. I am a Catholic saint.
Yeah, same here.
I also am a subgenius, official member, subgenius. And there's the Church of the Subgenius, Robert Anton Wilson and Philo Drummond. It's an interesting thing because there's flat earthers in the Church of the Subgenius too.
I'll have to look into that.
Oh, please do. You can. Church of the Subgenius is a whole show in itself. It's amazing. But I don't know too much about the counter space yet, man. To answer that original thing, but anything else there?
Let's take in how on a flat Earth, how does navigation take place? If everybody who's been trained in navigation, myself included, we are taught using geometry and trigonometry angles that are from a round model or a spherical model. So how do we get anywhere when our input data is wrong?
Oh, because all of your gyroscopes and navigational mechanical technology works. Its default is set as on a flat plane. Like NASA already admitted that. All gyroscopes in the planes, they still work the same way as they did when they first were invented. There's no. As a matter of fact, if a plane is flying at 35,000 feet and it's going 500 miles per hour, an airplane would have to descend 2,700 feet every minute, because you'd have to factor in the curvature of the Earth. And so that means that a plane would have to be dipping its nose down, and the pilots don't do that, And then they'll say, well, it's built into the machinery of the. No, it's not. It's not built. You can't build it into the machinery that it just automatically factors in the what? That doesn't happen. I've been in an airplane. You fly up, and then you level off, and you're flying level. I've looked out the windows, and it's flat. When do you see the curvature? The curvature of the horizon is always flat, a 360 view. 360 view, and no matter how high you rise, the horizon always rises with your eye level. If you were on a globe, it would descend. You would be able to when you're flying in an airplane, you'd be able to see the globe becoming a little bit smaller below you. But when you fly up in an airplane, the horizon always it's all, you can't escape it. It always is at eye level. And
well, Daniel, couldn't that be a matter of scale, though? I mean,
well, yeah, of course it could.
It's such a large object, and we are so close to the bottom that we're not seeing the curvature because it's out there, but we're so small with relationship to it that we can't perceive just because of our closeness to it.
Yes, I've heard that, and but then that comes in where a contradiction, comes in where if you can see the curvature of if you can see the boat and go over the horizon and disappear, but then you're in an airplane and you can't see the curve when you're going up. Well, that's an anomaly. You should be. If we saw the curve with our bare eyes at the beach and we see the boat going over the curve, well, we should be able to see the curvature of the Earth in an airplane. Well, where does it begin? It's always flat. That doesn't make any sense. You'd be able to see it. It always.
No, I don't think so. I think as a matter of scale.
Well, yeah.
You're looking at something that's so large in relationship to anything we've got. You're saying the Earth is too big to notice the curvature, but you're contradicting yourself, because you say that you see the boat going over the horizon. So if the Earth's too big to notice the curvature because how small we are, then how can we see the curvature of the boat going over the horizon? Daniel, that's a specious argument, because you're saying a horizon is flat. And I'm talking about something going over the horizon perpendicular to the observer. In which case, if the ship was going parallel course at the horizon, it would never disappear. I'm talking about something that's going away from the observer at a right angle. That's where we observe the curvature from. But it takes a stationary point looking at a moving point in a perpendicular direction for it to show itself. I'm saying if two ships were going parallel to each other along just say the farthest ship is just at the horizon line. Of course, it's going, and it's in a perpendicular, it's in a parallel course, it's going to go the same way. But if it was heading away from us at a right angle, that's when we're going to see it. Anytime it diverges away from the parallel course at the horizon is when we're going to see the curvature effect. How is that explained?
Well, that's what you say. That's when we're going to see the curvature effect. Well, yeah, we should. Like you just said, you have the sky angle, and the sky angle is it's like looking down a hotel hallway. The hall. If you look at the end of the hallway, the walls, the left and the right and the ceiling and even the floor are all converging into a point at the end.
Right. In perspective drawing, we'd call that the vanishing point.
Yeah, exactly. And but that's not true. It's actually they're parallel, and so it's a matter of perspective.
Perception, right? Because as you approach that vanishing point, the vista broadens out and it goes back to being parallel.
Yeah. So it's an optical illusion. It's an optical illusion. That's a perspective matrix so that we're limited by because of our eyesight, because of our limited perspective.
Okay, with perspective and this illusion, why doesn't it seems to me as the moon or the sun approach that vanishing point, it should get smaller, or it should appear to get smaller.
Yes, it definitely does. It has been recorded. Yes, you can see the sun, and actually that's another point. When the sun rises, quote unquote, before the sun is there, the actual sun orb. I say orb with the whole environment of the horizon is lit up. You see it starts to get sunny, and the environment is becoming brighter and brighter and brighter, but the sun's not even there. And then all of a sudden, boom, the sun just came into view. See, the reason why the light was there is because the sun is traveling closer into our matrix perspective, the perspective matrix. And so we can't see it, it's out. And also people say, well, why doesn't the sun light up the whole earth? Because it has a limited range of illumination that it could reach. It can't light up the whole earth because it only has a reach distance. It can only reach half of it. You can't take a picture of the whole earth either. People say that. Well, why can't you take a picture of the flat? Well, how could you of the whole earth? But you can't. Half of it's dark. Half of it's in darkness. How would you take a picture of something whole if half of it's lit in nighttime? But yeah, it is a very enlightening conversation. The line of the point of convergence, the line of convergence, the sky angle, the plane angle. If I walk away from you on a 5 football fields, eventually, or 3 mile long football field, you're not going to be able to see me. It's going to look like I disappeared below the horizon, but I didn't. I'm still flat. You just can't see your limited perspective. It's like the telephone poles that are on the streets. That just because you see the telephone pole all the way at the end, it looks to be smaller. It doesn't mean that it's a different size or that it's set. It's just
that's understood. It's just how perspective works. That's why early art didn't use perspective.
Talk a little bit louder.
Well, it's just like it's a given that the perspective, that's an illusion, and that's why art, before they started using perspective, everything's flat there's no depth of field. With depth, now, if you're looking down that road at those converging telephone poles, all you have to do to change that perspective is throw a pair of binoculars up and magnify.
Well, yeah, and you can exactly, and that brings my next point. There's countless footage. Actually, I footage it myself. I went down to Venice Beach, and I watched the boat go over the horizon till you can't see it anymore. And then I have my $600 professional camera, the highest zoom on the market, 83 times optical magnification, and you couldn't see the boat. It went over, and I zoomed up on it, and magically the boat is back into view. The boat that went over the horizon, I just brought magically back into view because, well, Galileo did not have this. The type of telescope or camera didn't have the type of technology that we have nowadays.
Yeah, and it's okay. Let's touch on Galileo. I mean, he was under house arrest for the last decades of his life because he was basically proving that the heliocentric model was correct, not the Terra-centric, and he was using his observations of the moons of Jupiter orbiting around a sphere as his proof. And of course, Nicholas Copernicus came up with the same idea, but being a member of the clergy, he knew if he published, he would get burned at the stake. So that goes back to why the paradigm shift, that why do we accept that the Earth is round when it started out being flat? It seems like the powers that be should have stuck to their guns and said, no, it's flat all along.
That Galileo story, man, that's obviously fake. They pretend that he fought against or that he supported the heliocentric and was basically trying to create a whole new model that was correct, and that and then they all said he was insane and that he's a lunatic and he's wrong. And like you said, they put him in jail and then they burned him at the stake, didn't they?
Well, no, he lived out his. The guy got burned at the stake was the one that did the study of the bridge of San Luis Rey, where he proved that it was a random. It wasn't an act of God. It was just a random occurrence. That's the guy they burned at the stake. Galileo was just under basically house arrest and labeled a heretic.
Yeah, I think that whole story is reversed. I used to think the same exact thing. But who's telling you this? The history books. They're telling you that Galileo went against it, and then lo and behold, Kepler backed it up, and just in time, Newton came along and saved it with his gravity. Yes, completely backed up, and then lo and behold, starting to lose footing, and then you got evolution and dinosaur bones come into the mix, and the dino wars of the 1840s and 50s, and this is all more stories, and that's everything is backed up, lies stacked on lies stacked on bull crap, and each scientific theory backs up and fortifies the previous one. Evolution backs up Big Bang, and then Big Bang, it's just, there's gravity and relativity. They're all related. They all need each other to exist. See, science is the religion. So, you talk about atheists earlier. Well, science is the new religion. And their god is gravity, or heliocentrism, the sun worshippers, Satanists, the Luciferians. They're unfortunately just under mind control. Mind control is one of the biggest subjects, and a lot of flat earthers don't want to talk about it because, well, it'll expose their own mind control, or programming, ego programming. It goes into psychology and politics. This is just all of them know. They all use the flat Earth knowledge against the people who don't. They don't even teach it in school. It's just pure ridicule. Like, the whole point of the scientific method is to question previous realities and then get the truth out of it. Like, why are you getting upset? That's the whole point. That's what science does. That's what it's supposed to do, is to look back and make sure that we got it all right and prove each other wrong. And it's like, but when you're spitting in the face of stuff that's already been empirically proved, until you can take a picture of the curved Earth yourself without fisheye lens distortion, or take me up on a spaceship with you, or I'm going to get my pilot license and my boating license. I'll be going there. I'll go there myself, because this is what I have to do, since I have to prove it to myself. So what better way than to do it that way?
Best question of the night, Daniel. This comes from Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio by John Porter. He says, enough about the Earth. Is Kim Kardashian's ass flat, too?
No, that's obviously fake. If you think that Kim Kardashian's ass is real, you obviously believe that the Earth is a spinning pear ball.
Yes.
So that's as fake as can be.
Exactly. I had to throw in a little bit of comedy there. Thank you, John. He always makes me laugh every single show. We only got about 3.5 minutes left for you. You've been a real trooper tonight. You really have.
Oh, I'm having a hard time hearing you, but 3 minutes left. It was awesome, man. I'm not going to be able to sleep for a couple hours. It's 12 o'clock here. I'm gonna crack open a beer and look at all the comments, and I just want to say thank you for having me on Spaced Out Radio.
No problem.
Amazing experience, really fun. Great questions by Eric and yourself.
Well, you know what?
Thank you.
Oh, no worries. This was a different adventure for us as well, my friend. And the key is, and the one thing that I always like to remind our listeners, okay, whether or not you agree with the guest, it's about trying to gain knowledge of what the topic was tonight. And I don't know if we'll go down this road again. We may. I mean, may in a few months, because we don't like to, bunch about too much. But it's very interesting just to see how this kind of went. And I'm still blown away by the whole anger over this topic. Anger.
I'm glad you could see that. That's a big thing. That's cognitive dissonance right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the holding two beliefs in your head at once, and the one that's your reality. So someone's questioning your entire reality. That means that someone's saying that your life is a lie. Of course you're going to get angry, and I don't want to do that. So getting opportunity to communicate better to so many people is an opportunity I would not let go of. So thank you, man.
Not a problem. It's been interesting, man. I'm not gonna lie. Preacher, are you okay? How's your blood pressure?
Oh, I don't have a dog in the fight. I mean, if the world's a sphere, if the world's flat, later today in about 14 hours, I gotta take a shower and go clock in and work the weekend. That has no bearing. I would just like to have more. I guess it's the scientific part of my mind would like to see more of the geometry involved with the flat Earth.
Absolutely, and I don't think any of us could really argue with that.
Nope.
But you know what? It's time to go home. Hey, Daniel, do me a favor before we send you on your way. If people want to find out more information on the science of flat Earth, where can they find it?
Let's see here. I'd say go check out Eric Dubé and Santos Bonacci. I'd say those are and Ken Wheeler. I'd say those are my they have the best scientific proof for it. They've done the Eric Dubé, Mass Powerland, Ken Wheeler, Santos Bonacci, Brian Mullen. Their science, the physics that they have immersed themselves into is far beyond my understanding at the moment. I say I really do a good job. I've been at this, like I said, for nearly a decade. Of coming out officially 2014, mid 2014, after I came back from Esalen Institute. That's when I just started making videos nonstop. Gotta make videos. So, YouTube at Flat Earth Sub Genius.
Yeah.
Instagram Flat Earth Sub Genius. My real name is Dan Falkenbach. Find me on Facebook. Dan Falkenbach, Falkenbach, Dan Falkenbach, Flat Earth Subgenius on Facebook, Flat Earth Subgenius on YouTube.
All right, buddy.
I'm not a comedian.
I got to wrap this up. I apologize. I got to wrap it up.
No.
We're less than a minute to go here. Tomorrow night on the program, the SOR Roundtable, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. Join the panel. It's going to be a lot of fun. SpaceOutRadio.com. We want to thank everyone who took part in the chat rooms tonight and on Twitter. You made it a lot of fun. You may have pulled out your own hair. You may be bald now. But in some areas, that's okay. I'll let you figure that out. We will be back in 21 hours from now. I'll be back right with you. Do me a favor, my friends. Tell a friend. Help spread the word of what we're doing here around the mighty SOR. Because with your help, we will own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, take us home.